In the country of Hyrcania, everyone coexists peacefully with the natural world. Sadly, when the barbarian king Anzes gains control, he begins causing ruin everywhere. One day, Anzes forces assault the village, where a young girl named Sonia lives, leaving hardly anyone alive. A long time afterward, Sonia, now grown up, is searching for other people from her tribe. Music she maintains, a map of the woods, and notes the places she has already explored. By a lake, she discovers a statue of the forest deity and offers a prayer to it before bathing. Just then, some lovely beings sprint past because they are being pursued by hired soldiers. Music Sonia and her horse quickly conceal themselves and remain hidden until the mercenaries depart. Afterward, they discover all these beings deceased on the earth, missing their horns. After traveling for a few hours, Sonia discovers a small kingdom being attacked. She leaves her horse in the woods and quietly moves through the town until she spots the mercenaries forcing a giant beast into a cave. All at once, a horn sounds and Emperor Dragon appears with his troops, a fearsome machine, and his killer Anisia. It is revealed that the mercenaries have been gathering unusual animals for the Emperor's arena contest, so Dragon checks the cages to confirm the result. Next, the dragon inspects the captives and orders his troops music to bring forth their chief. He tells them he encountered this individual a long time ago when he was enslaved and the person spit on him. Dragon seeks the lost portion of the Book of Secrets and intends to go into the Hyranian forest. So the guy tells him that only those chosen by the gods are allowed to enter that place. But he doesn't have faith in deities. He trusts in fact and research. After shouting at the man for his belief, orders General Karlok to execute him. At the same time, Sonia keeps moving stealthily and discovers two mercenaries' music, harming a creature in a cage. She confronts them about their meanness before rapidly killing them both with a knife. Next, she attempts to unlock the cage, but Anya prevents her by holding a sword to her throat. Music, Sonia shoves the sword aside and retreats as Anya informs her that the entire forest will vanish shortly. At that point, the voices inside Anya's mind instruct her to kill, leading her to assault Sonia. The women begin to fight, displaying remarkable proficiency with their arms. But Anya is still more skilled with a sword and succeeds in taking Sonia's weapon, Music, who then retaliates by seizing Anya's legs to trip her. A group of people gathers around them as they keep fighting on the ground, and Sonia succeeds in putting Anisia in a chokehold. When Den observes this, he remarks it's good entertainment. All at once, Sonia's attention is drawn to her horse approaching her. So Karlok renders her unconscious. Later on, Sonia awakens inside the invader's tent, bound to a cross. Dragon questions her, but because she refuses to speak, Karlok uses a sword to prod her injuries, causing her pain. When Dragon snatches her map, Sonia angrily yanks her hand away and seizes him by his garment. So Anya aims her blade at her to make her retreat. Dragon instructs her not to murder Sonia since he desires her involvement in the gladiator contest. As Sonia loses consciousness once more, she dreams of the day her village was invaded. Her mom instructed her to grab the kids and flee into the woods. Music young Sonia moved quickly, attempting to save other children, but the attackers were all around and she was unable to get to anyone. After that, she witnessed her mother's murder. When Sonia next opens her eyes, she finds herself in a cage alongside other enslaved people. Music, the carts transport them to the capital city, where Sonia is forced to witness several men lash her horse. Angry, she begins fighting the guards until she gets free. Music, after that, she employs her chains to ensnare the man holding a whip. She knocks him to the ground and attempts to murder him, but the soldiers apprehend her and return her to the cage, where she loses consciousness once more. A while later, Sonia wakes up and is surprised to find her mother standing before her. But it's only a trick created by her dreams. It's really just an elderly woman. A surprised Sonia seizes her by the throat and holds a blade to her neck, attempting to utilize her as a cover. The other enslaved people clarify that she's in the terrible naughty pits, a place where existence holds no worth and leaving is impossible. If she murders the elderly woman, no one will mind. The captain grabs her blade and instructs her to settle down, or he will be forced to flog her. At the same time, Meister Crudless ponders Dragon's intense focus on the Hyrcanian forest. Dragon clarifies that after King Anzes wiped out the Hyrcanians, the remaining people escaped into the woods and carried off half of the Book of Secrets. Music, Dragon possesses the other half, which has already assisted him in numerous scientific accomplishments, but he desires further advancement. A coded message in the book, which only Dragon has understood, states that a child possessing all the knowledge inside them will govern the world. Music, Dragon believes this prediction concerns him, so he desires to learn its conclusion. Later that night, Sonia repeatedly attempts to get out of the pit by scaling the wall. The enslaved people music find it absurd since no one has ever reached the summit, but Sonia demonstrates their error. Before long, she gets to the summit and exits the pit, only to find herself encircled by guards. She fights off some of them and even tosses one into the pit, but they music continue to appear and eventually close in on her to seize her once more. Later, Sonia discovers she is bound to her bed. The other enslaved people inform her that to gain her freedom, she must emerge victorious in every battle within the arena. They reveal that Anya was once a slave and earned her liberty. However, whispers suggest the sounds she perceives are the spirits of everyone she murdered. Inside the castle, Anya realizes her medicine supply is nearly gone and conceals her empty containers when enters the room. She tells him he made a promise to heal her, and he agrees he will, but she cannot be his empress until she is well. He hands her a fresh bottle of medication, and she consumes the entire content. After he departs, Anya believes she sees spirits in the looking glass. The following morning, the slaves begin their training music for the competitions. Sonia encounters Osen, who is called the Untouched since no blade has touched him since his capture. He challenges Sonia to alter that and win him as the reward. Petra advises Sonia not to form friendships, explaining that one never knows who they might have to battle in the future. Once the contests start, the enslaved people gather around the blacksmith and attempt to acquire effective weapons. Because Sonia is a newcomer, she is only given a wooden sword and shield, along with some truly silly bikini armor. The stadium is full, and the crowd roars for another violent killing. Finally, Sonia and Petra are dispatched, but Sonia declines to murder a blameless woman for amusement and prefers to battle the Emperor instead. Dragon chuckles and signals his guards, who then fire arrows at Petra. Sonia rushes to her and says sorry before the woman passes away. Music troops then rush into the arena, so Sonia takes Petra's superior sword and begins battling them. She takes down the initial attacker by cutting his leg. After that, she grabs his knife because it's the weapon she prefers. Now she can swiftly eliminate the soldiers individually by piercing their vulnerable area. Within moments, she manages to beat every one of them, and the audience cheers for her win. Even Drogon finds it impressive. Music before departing, Sonia grabs Petra's necklace. Later in the pit, Sonia hands the necklace to Petra's sad boyfriend, Hawk. Osen raises a glass to honor all the slaves who perished today, and Sonia performs a traditional song from her people in their remembrance. Unexpectedly, Dex is familiar with the words and joins in the song. The following day, Crudless presents Drogon with an object known as the yoke, which he fastens to a creature's head in the forest by using electricity. Dragon tries it out with a remote control music, and the creature goes wild. He's pleased with the outcome, but he desires the yoke to function on people as well. Crudless was conducting experiments on enslaved people, but the yoke destroys them all. Dragon believes that locating the missing portion of the book will enable them to complete this endeavor and produce an entire force of yoke-rolled human. Then Crudless presents him with a burning sphere, which is currently supplying energy to the entire city. He assures them that before long, they will also be able to employ it for weaponry. Inside the pit, Dex questions Sonia about her familiarity with the song, noting she doesn't appear to be hearing. He then understands she belongs to the forest tribe and shares that a community of survivors resides deep within the wood. Sonia weeps upon hearing the news and states they must get away. Their discussion stops when the captain informs her she's needed at the palace. Sonia has to wear the bikini once more and is placed in a cage, which is then pulled to the main hall where a feast is taking place. He presents Sonia with a map of the continent that highlights all the regions his forces have taken over. Dragon reveals her forest is the next target and presents her with the book, which sparks a memory of her tribe, utilizing the other half during their ceremonies. That evening, Sonia has a dream about the ceremonies and her mother instructing her to guard the book. The dragon slays her mother and takes the book before Sonia awakens, resolved to prevent the prophecy from happening. Later in the arena, the enslaved people are made to battle mounted mercenaries. Music, they are clearly at a disadvantage, so they cooperate to assault the horses, causing them to stumble and bring down the humans simultaneously. Music, the captain arrives, seeking additional slaves to dispatch, and Sonia expresses her displeasure at not being selected. So the captain informs her that Dreen prevented her from fighting because he desires her to witness everyone else perish. Music, Sonia requests Osun to guard deck. Next, she visits the blacksmith and requests improved gear. The blacksmith says no, so Sonia makes a threat, and the blacksmith agrees when he understands Sonia is the only one who knows his name. Later, Sonia disregards the captain and goes into the arena regardless. Two hired fighters on horseback pursue her, but Den shields her by having his bodyguard shoot them both. Sonia angrily tells him she's ready for a fight, but Den just wants her to reveal the location of the remaining Hyrcanian. If she stays silent, every slave will perish. All the slaves are led out by the guards before Dragon activates a remote control, causing a platform in the ground to open. This uncovers a massive cyclope with a yoke on its neck. Dragon once more uses the control to make the creature music assault the slave. Everyone begins to flee, but the Cyclops nonetheless manages to strike several slaves with its head, making them tumble into the chasm. Hawk attempts to fight the creature, but is quickly defeated. When Osun attacks again, music, the Cyclops throws him off the cliff. Next, Sonia spots the yoke and leaps onto the Cyclops' back, holding on by sticking her knives into it. Music, the Cyclops starts to panic, and Sonia uses all her power to yank the yoke free. The Cyclops then settles down and lowers its body, music, which makes Sonia tumble off. Then it lowers its hand, striking the earth directly beside her. Sonia pleads for it to cease and clarifies she music is not its foe. The Emperor is. The Cyclops charges at the bleachers and breaks them with its horns, making the people in the audience flee. The building's collapse still causes some civilian deaths, but Dunn manages to get clear just in time, and Karlok escorts him away. In the arena, the slaves are sad about Osun's death, music, but then he climbs back up and says he's still alive. Sonia indicates a passage formed by the Cyclops' damage and instructs her companions to flee, assuring them she will join them later at the White Chapel. Later, Sonia slips back in and begins battling the guards, eliminating them individually as she questions them about her horse's whereabouts. Everyone in the group perishes, and the final person is the one who eventually speaks. Sonia hurries to see our rootless lab, and the employees there flee in terror. She observes all the experiments and the burning sphere before at last locating her horse inside a cave. Once it's free, she hurls a sword at the sphere. The lights inside the palace blink briefly before the laboratory explodes. The blast is so large, it reaches the main hall, shattering the glass and knocking everyone to the ground. Dragon lives, though he's a bit hurt, but Crudless Music perishes after a piece of glass pierces his neck. While Dreen mourns his right hand, Anya informs him that she has already dispatched scouts to find Sonia. The next day, Sonia meets up with her companions, and they depart as a group. But during the trip, Osun declares he needs to go a separate way. It is revealed he is a prince, and a dragon took him captive when it assaulted his kingdom. So Yuzan wishes to return and reconstruct. Music, Sonia moves closer as if to kiss him, but instead she cuts his arm with her knife, so he is no longer unharmed. Afterward, the party sets up camp to recover and tend to their wounds. Sonia and Dex are happy to have found their group and tell tales from when they were kids. At that point, a slave returns from scouting with one of Music, the explorers. She murdered the rest and brought this particular one in for questioning. The scout informs Sonia that Dragon's group has been tracking them and is now just a day away. Sonia murders the guy prior to speaking with Dex alone. She instructs him to locate their group by himself, stating she cannot accompany him since she had disclosed their whereabouts to Dragon 2. Once Dex departs, Sonya attempts to convince the slaves to also leave, but they decline, unwilling to let her face the fight by herself. Later on, Dragon finds out that one of his villages was attacked by Sonya's team, leaving nothing but ruin. Music, the army will arrive in a day or two, causing Dragon to become very distressed. Anya tells him he's not strong, and they start to fight, but Sonya shows up close by and stops them. She tosses a soldier's head onto the dirt and warns that she will escalate the situation if Drogon continues to dispatch scouts. As a result, Karlok tosses Dick's head. That evening, Sonya observes a collection of individuals nearing her team's campsite. She prepares her bow to fire, but a man surprises her, explaining that they are the missing Hyrcanian. Sonya hurries to rejoin her community and even embraces a woman from her village named Hesper. They clarify that they did spot Dick's music, but they lacked sufficient personnel to battle the troops and rescue him. The Hyrcanians possess the remaining portion of the book and explain the events to Sonya. On the day of the assault, a young boy concealed himself in the temple and observed a priest attempting to protect the book. But a soldier assaulted the priest and attempted to seize the book, which was ripped in two during the fight. Jesper came up behind the soldier and killed him, then grabbed one of the halves. However, she had to leave quickly before she could get the second one. The young boy retrieved the remaining piece and concealed it before the troops apprehended him. Later in the slave cell, the boy studied the book and discovered all its secrets, music, which enabled him to break free from slavery and rise to become Emperor Dragon. The Hyrcanians now wish to conceal themselves with the book, but Sonya explains that Dragon will relentlessly pursue them. She persuades the others to make a final effort to stop this conflict. Soon after, they encircle the village and discover that Dragon's forces have appeared with many, sophisticated weapons. The men begin shooting the cannons and Sonya's group must flee as the blasts ignite the forest. As the soldiers enter the forest, Dragon informs Anya he will wed her if she delivers Sonya's head to him. In the forest, Sonya's band conceals themselves behind trees and beneath bushes until the soldiers are near enough to surprise attack them. A fierce fight starts as the fire keeps spreading and setting off blasts. Before long, combatants on both sides are falling rapidly. As Sonya's team gets the advantage, she instructs her people to flee, drawing the enemy further into the wood. Some soldiers pursue Sonya, so she must battle them by herself. After either killing or avoiding all of them, she watches Anna show up. The women begin to battle with their swords, and it seems their abilities are evenly matched, but Anna succeeds in overcoming Sonya and cuts her body several times. Sonya doesn't quit and hits Anna again on the neck. Close by, Hawk encounters Karlok and chooses to battle him alone. They trade some blows and even headbutts before Karlok hits Hawk with his axe and then stabs him with a sword. Meanwhile, Anisia also uses her sword to stab Sonya. Just as she is about to cut off her head, Anya is knocked down by Sonya's horse, which then rests beside its owner. Sonya gets on it and drives off. Later by the lake, Sonya believes she spots her mother near the statue. But this is the real goddess who informs her that the world is suffering and they must prevent the dragon from succeeding. Sonya mentions she always wished for nothing. Thus, the deity clarifies that Sonya needed to discover her inner power to embrace her fate. Next, the goddess places Sonya into the lake to mend her wounds, informing her that the world's destiny rests with her. At the same time, the remaining members of Sonya's group have been caught. HPA addresses Dragon using his birth name, Hyranium, and he hits her, stating that the frightened child is no more. He blames HPA for leaving him and weeps while he shakes her head until she confesses. Upon inspecting her bag, he eventually discovers the missing half of the book and interprets it as confirmation that the prophecy is accurate. He tells the mercenary chief to murder her, but the man declines to harm a priestess. Dragon takes a sword and prepares to personally kill Hesper, but just then, an arrow strikes and kills a guard. Unexpectedly, Sonya shows up with her hair a noticeably brighter red.